So in the past, I've already mentioned my passion for the Resident Evil franchise. These games played a huge part in my life alongside some Final Fantasy titles since I was 8 years old. So whenever a new Resident Evil property is announced, I get excited but also really apprehensive. I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying that the past live-action horror movies really affected me in a very deep yet negative manner. But hey, I also acknowledge that the first film is a solid story that really is separated from the rest in my opinion. And I do know there's a lot of people that like these movies, and it's totally fine. Just don't go online bashing others because you think for some reason that your taste is better. What you do to others that affect them in a toxic way will in a lot of cases make them do the exact same in the future, so please just don't be that person. With that being said, let's talk about Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. So this one is more close to what we know from the games. We experience the horrors of Raccoon City through the lens of Claire, Leon, and we also follow Chris, Jill Valentine, Albert Wesker, no Barry, I'm sad about that, and also Richard as they investigate the Spencer mansion. Everything starts to go down once a strange infection causes people to turn into zombies, also bringing some other creatures to the nightlight in this secluded town that turns out to be full of despicable mysteries. Did the movie fail on its premise? Yeah, a bit. Am I catastrophically disappointed with it? Well, I'm not. In fact, I'm rather surprised because after all the reactions that I've been seeing, I expected it to be worse than it actually is. There's plenty to love, and I can still rewatch it and have fun for what it is. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of unskippable flaws that surely are the focus once you notice, whether you're a Resident Evil hardcore fan or you just want to see a good zombie flick. And most of these flaws has to do with the rushed third act and dealing with the fact that the movie as a whole struggled to find a balance between pleasing hardcore fans and having a coherent narrative for those who never played the games. And it ends up generating mixed reactions precisely because of that. The over-reliance on Easter eggs and the 90s references for the fans instead of sustaining consistent storytelling. This movie demands that the viewer has a perspective of what Resident Evil is, as the whole runtime feels like a lot of scenes were cut from it. The final moments felt like a mashup of so much stuff happening at the same time that went by in seconds after a kinda like slow burn that was actually working if the story had more to offer. The pacing is not in favor of its runtime, should have been longer, feels like the movie was slaughtered in pre or post production. It also feels like a long pilot episode that ends with a cliffhanger. It should have been at least 2 hours and a half if they wanted to mash up the Spencer Mansion story and the Raccoon City in one, because we barely spend time with these people since the movie trusts us to already know who they are. It's so focused on references that it forgets to work on its characters, leaving them underdeveloped and the story undercooked. So the cast in general isn't the problem for me. In fact, when they announced it, I loved each actress and actor and I really didn't mind the change of appearance. I feel that some people are still reinforcing that's the problem. I mean, the actor who did Leon did a really good job according to what was given to him to work. And frankly, I like the clumsy aspect of him and actually playing the part of a rookie. It's just his lines were so bad, but you can see that the actor tried. The best part of him was his interactions with Jill and Chris. That to me was heartwarming, especially because I always dreamed of seeing these characters together in one place. As for the others, Claire was phenomenal. The scenes with Chris fighting zombies in the mansion gave me chills, and to my surprise, despite the dialogue being rushed, I loved the actress who played Jill. She did a really good job in terms of emotion. Both Brad and Richard had small roles, but I liked some references they included with him. Chief Irons was the best part of this movie to me. The actor really sold it. The big letdown was the performance of Tom Hopper as Albert Wesker. I really liked this actor mainly because of Umbrella Academy, and here it just seemed really off. Not only the acting, but the mistake of humanizing the character. In the games I like him being this constant that is never quite explained. To me, he's like Ada Wong, that throughout the games you can even doubt that it's her actual name because you don't know exactly her past. So having Wesker show certain emotions had me conflicted because here the way he he acts is just off-putting, and it has to do with the writing for sure. Regarding the cinematography and production design, taking aside the CGI dog, I actually loved how this movie looks. There are also a few strange editing decisions and a specific moment with loud music that felt like a YouTube parody video, but everything from the atmosphere to the set recreating the scenarios, mainly from the RE2 remake and RE1, and the portrayal of Raccoon City as this secluded small town was really well done. The shots of the streets and the ambient itself really made me feel the suffering that the citizens went through because of Umbrella. And talking about more horror elements, one of my favorite atmosphere boosts has to be the shot with the RPD doors opened while Leon sleeps at the reception. It gave me chills due to the feeling that the danger is out there. It made me recall certain moments from the games where a corridor with doors was so ominous, and I'd be super cautious expecting a creature to burst out of the door and start running after me. Another horror aspect that they achieved perfectly was their approach to the zombies, and it's subjective, but to me it was very clever. At first they're depicted as people trying to control themselves. You see the degradation of the human body and the mind fighting against the virus, as the person still maintains some lines of thought process while turning into a zombie or already being one but having consciousness. I loved seeing the crowd at the front gate asking for help and murmuring wanting to get in. It makes sense that they still have some kind of memories. Look at Birkin from the games or Lisa Trevor from the GameCube remake, and since I mentioned Lisa, having her fight the Licker has to be the most badass scene, but then it lasts less than a minute, and that's also one of the most conflicting things about this movie. Every time it has the opportunity to have a captivating sequence, it rushes it to the next scene, leaving me wondering if there's more footage deleted somewhere. Also, I really like the way they switched where Lisa Trevor appears comparing to the 2002 remake, and I still believe that it's possible to focus on that game only instead of mashing up two stories into one. Just think about it, imagine a silent film with great acting, our characters going through the hallways, solving puzzles, scratching sounds, sobbing in the distance. It could even be a character study of Jill slowly losing her mind, zombies speaking in dark spots, creeping around, shadows in the frame, Easter eggs here and there. It could work even if the story in the mansion is short. It just has to have great acting, great atmosphere, a good scope, and someone behind the writing and direction that knows how to properly execute psychological horror notions. Anyway, I'm just daydreaming here. Let me know your thoughts on Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. If you like my content, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.